So, I heard you're looking for a go-to source for entertainment.
Wait for it.
Gaming?
Wait for it.
Anime?
Plus Ultra!
Mr. Eric Almighty and Phil the Filipino? Yeah, they've got you covered. And all you gotta do is... wait for it. This is the Wait For It podcast.
Wasn't the smoothest transition, but here we are. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Wait For It podcast YouTube page. I'm your co-host, Phil Smith, a.k.a. Phil the Filipino. And to that way is your other co-host, Mr. Eric Almighty. Eric, it is good to be back here with you on our YouTube page, as it is certainly grown from the last time we did a live stream. Shout out to everybody that we met over at Collective Con. But Eric, I'm super excited to talk to you about this movie. And one, it's a franchise that may show that, you know what, sometimes bullying helps.
I guess so. Yeah. No, this is going to be exciting between us streaming on Facebook and YouTube with all the people
and Twitter
that are on and Twitter. Yeah, can't discount us there. But on Facebook, we just hit over 1,000 people following and liking the page, and then on YouTube, we started out with like 30-40 people before Collective Con. We're at like 170, so I'm not sure how many people will be hitting us up here at 9 o'clock on a Saturday, but live. But we are excited to see if you guys are able to check this out, if you like the episode and the review, because I think this is a fun one, Phil, just especially with the grunginess of the Batman that we just did. This is more of a lighthearted, just kind of silly, fun one to do.
Yeah, and if any of you are brand new to our live streams, you will see a comment section. And if you have any questions about the film that you would like us to answer, definitely put them in, and we'll answer as many of those as we can, as long as they are spoiler-free appropriate, because this is a spoiler-free review, as you guys can see in the title. So we're really, really excited to talk to you guys about Sonic the Hedgehog 2. It was a... like I said, the original came out in 2020, and we all know the controversy. We're not going to revisit that as far as the design for Sonic. It then got updated, and the first one was really, really good. So, you know what? We're excited to talk about this one and see how we felt about the follow-up. So, if you're new to this page, if for some reason you just stumbled upon us and don't know, we are the Wait For It podcast, a pop culture show based out of Jacksonville, Florida, where we talk about everything between video games, anime, films, TV, and everything in between. And we'll let you know where you can find all of our social media handles and all of our content here in just a moment. But Eric, we can go ahead and jump right into it. Before we do, if no one has heard or seen our reviews before, as far as movies, let them know how those movie reviews go.
So we keep it here. We keep it simple here at the Wait For It podcast. We're gonna make it very, very easy to follow along. We're going to go over likes. We're going to go over dislikes. And then once we're done, starting it off on a positive note, probably nitpicking in our dislikes for this episode, we'll go ahead and then jump into our overall thoughts while also giving you a grade. And that is going to be on a scale from 1 to 10. So again, pretty basic steps to a review, and a very, very interesting movie that I think, Phil, I'm not sure if we are going to land exact. I have a feeling we're going to be close, though.
Yeah, I just know you and I had a lot of similar feelings sitting there in that movie theater, but we were with our kids, so that certainly I think maybe kept us in line and prevented us from saying the things we really wanted to say. Because again, at the end of the day, Sonic is a kids movie, even though it has, of course, a lot of really, really hardcore adult fans based on the source material. But Eric, let's go ahead and start with the positives and the takeaways for this film. And I feel like we do have to start off with the obvious, which is the inclusion of Knuckles and Tails, both of them. But really, really, the casting of Idris Elba, which is something we were already excited about to begin with, I think was a home run. I really bought into this character as a actual threat. And, if you're, of course, an adult listening to this, you probably know how that goes. And the history between Sonic and Knuckles, it can be a little... there can be a lot of give and take there, but I thought Idris Elba was fantastic. And even though it was in an animated form, it was cool to see him interact with Jim Carrey's Dr. Robotnik.
Oh, their dynamic actually is what I enjoyed between Jim Carrey and Idris Elba. Like, I love their back and forth banter of Jim Carrey being this like he's too smart for his own good, and then Idris Elba being this kind of like buffoon warrior. Like, it was a very good dynamic that worked really well. Jim Carrey, hilarious. He delivers some one-liners here that just like you just can't help but laugh. They're so up to date. There's maybe one or two things that he doesn't do that he does that I didn't really like, but outside of maybe a couple things, for the most part, when he makes a joke, it lands. At least it did for me. And again, I felt they were, they were definitely to date. They were definitely not dated jokes. They were definitely up to date. For me, Phil, I enjoyed Sonic the second go around. I think that the actor that plays him does a great job. But really, I still love the design. I still am just happy we didn't go the original route. So for that reason, that's got to get a like on its own, because we probably wouldn't be getting this movie if they didn't make the changes that needed to be made.
I think it was in a recent teaser trailer before the movie came out that showed the original design in the trailer. And it's like, you know what? Kudos to them for having that self awareness and understanding that they did get it wrong. Yeah, Ben Schwartz, like you said, is still doing an excellent job in the role as Sonic, and really, really great chemistry with Knuckles. I mean, I'm sorry, definitely with Knuckles, but also as Tails, who is played by Colleen O'Shaughnessy, and she has an extensive voice acting background. Of course, has played Tails in many animated features as well. So they are just doing a really, really great job. And there's a lot of humor in here that is, of course, aimed at children. It is a children's movie, but the stuff that is in there for the adults, like you said, Eric, is pretty funny. I would love to see just an edit or a cut of Jim Carrey, because you know that he definitely had like a whole lot of ad libs in this, and they just kind of ran with it. I'm sure they just kind of like let the tape run. Makes me hope that, as he mentioned recently that he is considering stepping away from acting, I hope that's not the case. Now, while he is great as Dr. Robotnik, I'm just not ready to see Jim Carrey leave our screens yet, and we haven't seen him do a whole lot lately, but he's excellent in this. So yeah, like you said, the humor, the kids' humor there is very cringy, and I think even maybe some kids might think it's a little cringy too. But I mean, it is it's a kids' film.
It is a kid's film, and for a kid's film, it is very good. From a kid himself, my son enjoyed the movie just as much as the first one. He was beaming from ear to ear. You heard him, obviously. There were some moments. Yeah. He let out a whistle.
Heard a lot of things. Heard a lot of people in the theater.
Yeah, I'm just saying, hey, listen, circumstances are what they are, but I just don't understand opening night, opening weekend. Like, if you went on a Sunday 3 weeks from when the movie came out, and you have, let's say, a situation, volume-wise, with whoever you're bringing, of any age, any situation, just again, that's on me. I should, you know what? That's just the luck of the draw. I went on a random Sunday at a noon showing, early bird, but not opening weekend. You don't get any sympathy from me there. So just minor rant because Phil brought it up. So it just upset me.
And to kind of also talk about that, my daughter came and she's 14, so she's, a lot older than your son, and she enjoyed the hell out of it too, So even as she's getting older, still can enjoy a really funny movie and some of those references. Eric, what else did you enjoy that you wanted to point out here on the positive side?
What I will say is I really liked the after credit scenes. There is one. We're not going to talk about it, but I'm excited to see what comes next. I'm surprised to see where they're going to go with the next one as quickly as they are, only the third movie. I'm assuming this is going to, again, lead to multiple movies for this franchise. So, again, a little surprised to see it, but definitely not any less excited. And really, Phil, I liked the third act of this movie a lot. It takes us a bit to get there. That might be a good transition to dislikes in a moment. But when we do finally get to that final act, I mean, it's cool. I mean, it's exactly what you want to see. You want to see the team up. You want to see the fighting. You want to see them do Sonic the Hedgehog cool things. So that definitely does happen in this movie. Just takes us a little bit to get there.
Yeah, we'll talk about that on the other side of things here in just a moment. I'm sure we'll have a lot to discuss. I'll point out a couple of other people here because, of course, the live action characters aren't necessarily, the focus of this, and they shouldn't be. It should be the animated characters from this universe. But I do want to give a shout out to Natasha Rothwell, who is Rachel, who is the sister from the first movie, Maddie's sister, who is in the first movie as well, who was also very funny, and Lee Majdoub, who is Agent Stone, who is Dr. Robotnik's like henchman, and both of them really, really steal like any scene that they're in. They were fantastic as supporting characters, very, very funny. Again, lots of jokes in there for kids, but a lot of humor in there that was just really, really good. That felt at home for an older audience. I thought they were really, really solid. So gotta give a shout out to some of those side characters who did a great job.
Yeah, I think that is a good call out. As much as I did enjoy them, though, they were a little in the way. So, Phil, unless you have anything to jump into left in likes, I think you and me are probably ready to make that transition.
No, that's it for me. So we can go ahead and get into the opportunities here. And I'll let you go first because I always love seeing if we are thinking the same thoughts, because when we're sitting next to each other and we look at each other, we can tell like, oh, okay, yeah, we're we're in the same space. So yeah, go ahead.
I will just make one mention now that you mentioned that. I do remember us laughing very hard at one particular stupid joke. Just one, and just to give you an idea of how it went, because it's not going to be as funny until you watch it. But basically, like, I knew a guy named Knuckles in the school. He can fit his whole hand in his mouth. If it's the same Knuckles.
If it's the same Knuckles,
we're
we're screwed. That's another solid side character, Adam Pally, who is Wade, who was also in the first film. So.
Very, very funny. Dislikes. So for this movie, I've got to say, I didn't feel, or maybe I forgave it a little bit more, the human element with, James Marsden and his wife and the family. But, like, I kind of let it go in the first one, but in this one, it just feels like it kind of takes the air out of the movie. Like, at one point, Phil, and while I like the human side characters that you mentioned and we gave praise to, it's just a little bit too much screen time that I think they got. I feel like we spent a little bit more on the human side of things with the human side storyline of this wedding in, I guess, Hawaii than we did with building up the father-son relationship that's kind of being built here between James Marsden's character and Sonic, or the new blooming relationship between Sonic and Tails. I feel like there was a missed opportunity here. This movie only being about a little over 2 hours doesn't leave you a lot of room to play around with. And I feel like they thought maybe they had more time, or we didn't need to see as much to make an emotional connection. And for me, I needed some more time. Maybe either 15 more minutes of screen time, or really, they could have cut 15 minutes with the human characters and just made it up there.
Yeah, that's kind of where we always fall with movies like this, is like, how much do you really want to know about the human characters? Like you said, James Marsden's fine, Tika Sumpter really solid, Tom and Maddie respectively. But like, it's also, if you just took them out of the film, you wouldn't really notice too much, or just replace them with somebody else, right? Like, there is the wedding is basically just a setup for a character to return, right? That's basically all that is. And you probably could have done that differently. And also, you got Shamar Moore in here. For a lot of people remember him from Criminal Minds, and he's just like, I don't know, that he has a side plot all his own that I won't spoil here. That is just really not only it was clearly rushed, but it also felt like the people making the movie wanted to just get it out of the way as well, as far as like what was going on between him and this other side character, because it wasn't important. It didn't really, I mean, I guess it kind of added something again in the sense that they were introducing this returning character, but like it was kind of pointless. It didn't necessarily need to be done. So yeah, I definitely see what you're saying there, Eric. For me, excuse me, and we talked about this very, very briefly when we got out of the theater. Man, it took a long time to get to the point where it's like, okay, now we're finally getting somewhere. There are some moments in here that really, really lean into the kiddie aspect of this of the fan base. One specific scene in a bar somewhere was just like, oh God, what I felt like I was watching like Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network like on a Saturday or Sunday morning. And again, that part's not in there for me. That's in there for the kids. But for me, I was like, I wish I could skip this. I definitely wish I didn't have to watch this part of the movie.
I don't think it's a spoiler to say it's a dance off.
Okay, yeah, there you go.
Dance off.
Remember, leading into the trailer, I thought they were going to redo the bar scene from the first movie, which is like, okay,
Yeah.
I did. Which is like, oh, okay, because X-Men did that. So it's like with Quicksilver. So it's like, yeah, whatever. Let them do whatever the hell they want. But that's not what we got.
No, it's not. There were definitely some cringy moments in the movie early on, especially. That's where the pacing really kind of took a hit. So with the movie itself, like, I enjoyed the third act quite a bit. It takes us a while to get there, and we are going through a storyline here that is not new. It is, we have to go find this precious, powerful, whatever item. And that's what we're going to spend 2/3 of the movie doing. And Team A is going to go here, and then Team B is going to meet up, and there'll be a conflict. And I mean, as I'm talking, you guys are probably bored as hell like I was, knowing, oh, this is the plot. Like, this is the standard plot for what feels like a third of these superhero or video game movies that are out there. So that did take away from it a little bit. And I did feel like by the time we got to the third act, I wasn't really invested. I still enjoyed it, but it didn't hit that big bang like I thought it was going to, or maybe how they intended. I think they definitely were counting on that third act quite a bit in this film, and it didn't fully stick the landing because the first 2/3 of the movie, not very interesting.
It's not at all. Did you ever see the live action Power Rangers movie, Eric? The one that like, it was very polarizing though. But did you ever watch it?
The one with the Ooze villain? Like
No. Sorry, the most recent live action one that came out in like 2018.
Oh,
The one
yeah,
with
Krispy
Elizabeth
Kreme.
Banks. Yeah, didn't it kind of feel like we were watching that all over again? Like the final act with the fight. Did
Yeah.
not feel like Power Rangers? I was like,
It-
and
it
again,
did
it's
feel
not
like
an
that.
it's not like you said. It is a very paint by the numbers superhero flick. It's again, the third act is so good, and when you get to see the characters using their powers full force, it's awesome. You get reminded how cool Sonic is, how cool Knuckles is, what a dork, and how lovable Tails is. That's when the movie is at its best. Put all these other characters to the side and have these three and Dr. Robotnik duke it out, and that's when the movie is at its best. Again, like you said, the first 2/3, 3/4 of the movie is a drag, and that's where you're really reminded that this movie isn't just for adults and for hardcore fans that are of Sonic, and you just got to get through it because the finale is worth it. So
It is. And, you know, those are the biggest complaints I think I have of the movie. The movie is, for the most part, shot very well. The CGI is fine, is good. You know, there's no complaints really on that front. But yeah, no, it's just, again, that was my main concern, was those human characters just soaking up the screen time. And I don't know that this movie, again, needed to be more than 2 hours, but it definitely didn't need to be 2 hours as currently constructed. It could have been, we could have definitely, if we were going to just kind of shoe in some feelings, like, hey, remember that owl from the first one? Well, that's going to play an emotional beat in this film, but you're not going to get any more insight into that character or her relationship with Sonic or even where Tails comes from. Like, again, I feel like there's still so much of this world we don't know about. And when I see that in a movie and I want more of it, I find it baffling why you wouldn't want to give us more of that and instead spend time with characters we don't care about comically in Hawaii at a wedding. So again, that part of the movie I think bothered me, but even before that, we were going down the wrong path for that piece.
is Longclaw a character in the animated show, the owl?
I'm not going to promise.
I've not watched.
I'm not going to promise
show.
anything here. There's a good chance that it is. I don't recall the owl at all. An owl. No, not at all. And I'm not your resident Sonic fan.
One of us is an owl.
Who?
Well, that's the thing. We don't. I looked the wrong way. Damn it. So close. Okay, we'll get that down eventually. Yeah, it's Yeah, like it is a solid film. And considering what we almost got, we should be happy with we wouldn't even have this film, like you said, if we didn't have if what happened didn't happen. So Eric, is there anything else you want to mention before we wrap it up? We always like to kind of keep these episodes a little solid. Did we want to talk about the end credit scene after we give a grade, or
No, probably not. We'll probably
Okay.
just keep it full spoiler free, but I will tell you guys that end credits is pretty cool.
It is cool.
And
A lot of
I'm
people in
sure-
the theater thought it was cool.
Yeah, one in particular. I just want to yell it out. But yeah, no, that is it. I think we've kind of hit the main points. We could definitely go further into it, nitpicking, but it is a kid's film, and we're just two grumpy old men just shaking our heads at a lot of points. So let's jump into our final thoughts here, our overall thoughts and our grades. And Phil, I'm very curious to see where we land together.
Yeah, let's get into it. I'll get to my review here in just a moment. I do want to let you guys know it is a pretty vast difference on Rotten Tomatoes. Currently, the critics have it at a 68% as far as the tomato meter, with an audience score of 98%. So, I mean, at the time of recording this, we're 2 days after the movie came out. So there's obviously a lot of room for fluctuation, but you got to think that the audience is responding pretty well here. For me, Sonic 2 certainly had me worried in the first half to 3/4 of the film, but getting to see Knuckles and Tails on the big screen kept me optimistic throughout, and it certainly paid off in the end. Idris Elba as Knuckles was a slam dunk casting, and I meant to mention this, Eric, but he felt like a Drax style character without going too far into the silliness like what they did with Dave Bautista and Marvel. Jim Carrey is also in top form here, and I hope his talk about possibly retiring soon isn't true. Although I am optimistic about them moving on to other villains within the Sonic's Rogue Gallery that could possibly show up here. If you were an adult going into this film without a kid, remember who this movie is also partially for. It is a children's film, and it will make that a lot more enjoyable when some of those cringy moments do come up. But overall, there is so much here, including a third act finale that is just really, really fun aesthetically. Is it a little paint by the numbers? Sure, but that's what we go to these films for, is to just have a lot of fun, and the third act in Sonic delivers that, along with some humor that will keep the adults laughing and probably go over your kid's head. Because of the slow start, I definitely had to take some points away, but I still gave Sonic a 7.5 out of 10 because I had a good time. And you know what? Let's not nitpick too much, like Eric said, when it comes to this children's film.
Interesting. 7.5. For me, I had a hard time coming up with thoughts, and I had final thoughts, and I had a hard time coming up with a grade for this movie because I wanted to enjoy it a lot more than I did. And this movie, again, suffers very badly from pacing, a paint-by-the-numbers story that we've seen a million times again, and really nothing original beyond that up until the third act, which, again, is Sonic at its finest. There are a ton of people that are saying this may be the best video game movie of all time. And we can all acknowledge that that's not a very high bar to reach. So I'm not here to make that argument that it's not. But it wasn't the best movie ever, like in my heart. I just don't feel that way. If it is for you, that I can understand why because of that bar. But it's not a very well-constructed film. And I can only give it so much of a pass, especially with some of the criticisms I had of the first one. I can't recall, Phil, what I gave Sonic, the first one. I'm assuming it's somewhere around a 7 and a 7.5. For this movie, I'm going to have to go on the earlier end and give it a 7. But I would honestly say, regardless of score, they're pretty close. Like, the first Sonic is just 1A, and Sonic 2 is 1B. Like, they're pretty close as far as a score that I would give. And I just kind of give the original the little bit of an edge because I feel like it has a little bit more heart to it.
So there we go. Pretty much on par again between the two of us. The way that I looked at it is that Knuckles, Tails, and Dr. Robotnik got 2 points each. Got me 2 points. So that's a 6. And then the rest of it, gets a good 1.5. Maybe you give like negative points for the other human characters. So-
We should really figure out the details of our point system. I didn't know that's how you
Doesn't matter.
calculated your points.
That's just how I did it this time around. Who knows? I give
Wow.
it 7.5 tails, which means there's 1 tails out there in some universe that had a horrible accident. Sorry, I didn't mean to throw this whole thing.
This is a children's movie.
Well, Eric, I'm going to let everybody know where they can find all of our social media and all that kind of stuff. But really quick, why don't you let people know about something we posted about over on our Instagram page here and just earlier today, actually.
Yeah, so if you're located in Jacksonville or you're in the neighboring Kingsland area in Georgia, we are going to be attending Beta Quest 2022 on April 23rd, and we're going to have a promotional table there. In turn, they were able to the great people over at Beta Quest were able to give us 2 pairs of VIP tickets to this event. And it's an anime convention, and it is there it's put together to help raise money for the Junior Beta Club to go to national competition this summer. It's for a great cause, guys. Tickets are really only $10 for just the standard tickets. These $40 VIP tickets, though, will get you some additional things like extra raffle tickets, a pin and a sticker, as well as priority in line for star signings. So there's going to be voice actors there from series like Dragon Ball Z, Attack on Titan. I think you guys will really enjoy it, especially if you were one of the people that came and followed us from Collective Con. Don't miss it. But if you want free tickets, just follow us on social media, where Phil's going to let you know on Facebook and Instagram, where we're running a giveaway for, again, those 2 pairs of VIP tickets. And we hope to see you there.
Yeah, we're super excited to go check it out. And you know what, guys? It's the beginning of convention season for the summer. It's coming up, and it's honestly, it's the best time of the year. So we hope to see you guys there. But for any of you that are brand new, just as a reminder, we are typically a podcast that can be found anywhere you listen to your shows: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, Amazon Music, just to name a few. But if you have another podcast app that you use, I guarantee you we are there. If you do find yourself listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please do us a favor and leave us a 5-star review. And of course, this is our YouTube page here. So if you aren't already subscribed, go ahead and do that so you can keep up with all of our live streams. We're really looking to expand on that here in 2022. And then, as mentioned, Erica, and then as mentioned, you can find that I'm totally blowing this right now. You can find that giveaway, that's the word I was looking for, on our social media page on Instagram at Wait For It Podcast, and then you can find us on Twitter at Wait For It Pod. Eric, please, for the love of God, let's we should probably get out of here.
Call it a night. I guess we're
I
not
think
getting on
right
to play
around the
tonight.
26-minute mark is like, nope.
I guess we're not getting on to play tonight because you need a nap. Like,
I
now.
do. I have not been sleeping well.
Jesus. Okay. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us on this live stream review. My name is Mr. Eric Almighty. That is my co-host, Phil the Filipino. And please don't forget, we release our podcast episodes every Monday and Wednesday with the occasional bonus content here on YouTube. And all you have to do is wait for it.
So, I heard you're looking for a go-to source for entertainment.
Wait for it.
Gaming?
Wait for it.
Anime?
Plus Ultra!
Mr. Eric Almighty and Phil the Filipino? Yeah, they've got you covered. And all you gotta do is wait for it. This is the Wait For It podcast. So,